She walked into his room at midnight after 3 years of silence, but she wasn't there for love, she was running for her life. Alex had always been the type of person who liked things just the way they were. Every morning he woke up at exactly 6:30 a.m. He made his coffee the same way, ate the same breakfast, and took the same route to work. His friends used to joke that he was like a robot, but Alex didn't mind. There was something peaceful about knowing what each day would bring. At 28, Alex worked as a designer for a small company downtown. He wasn't rich, but he had enough to pay for his one-bedroom apartment and buy the things he needed. His place was simple but clean. Everything had its spot, and Alex liked it that way. The books were lined up perfectly on the shelf. His coffee mugs were always washed and put away. Even his shoes were arranged in a neat row by the door. That Tuesday evening started just like any other. Alex had been working late on a big project for a client. The rain was coming down hard outside his office window, making that steady drumming sound on the glass. He loved that sound. It made him feel safe and cozy inside while the world got soaked outside. By the time he finally packed up his things and headed home, it was already past 10 o'clock. The streets were mostly empty except for a few cars splashing through puddles. Alex pulled his jacket tight and ran to his car, getting only a little wet before he made it inside. The drive home was quiet. Just him, the rain, and the soft music playing on the radio. Alex found himself thinking about his life as he drove through the familiar streets. Was he happy? He thought so. Maybe not jumping up and down happy, but content, satisfied. That had to count for something, right? When he got to his apartment building, Alex parked in his usual spot and gathered his laptop bag and jacket. The building was old but well kept, with a small lobby and stairs that creaked a little when you walked on them. Alex lived on the second floor, apartment 2B. He'd been there for almost 4 years now. Inside his apartment, Alex went through his usual evening routine. He set his laptop on the kitchen counter, planning to finish some work later. He heated up leftover pizza in the microwave and ate it while watching the late news. Nothing too exciting was happening in the world, which was fine by him. Alex had never been one for drama or excitement. After dinner, he washed his plate and fork, wiping down the counter until it was spotless. He changed into his comfortable pajamas and brushed his teeth, looking at himself in the bathroom mirror. Same face, same brown hair that was starting to thin a little at the top. Same tired eyes that said he worked too much and didn't get enough sleep. Alex had planned to do some more work on his laptop, but the day had been longer than usual. His eyes were burning from staring at the computer screen, and his shoulders ached from hunching over his desk. Maybe the work could wait until tomorrow. Sometimes it was okay to break the routine just a little bit. He turned off the lights in the living room and kitchen, leaving just the small lamp in the hallway burning. Alex had always been a little nervous about complete darkness. It wasn't that he was scared exactly, but he liked to be able to see where he was going if he needed to get up in the middle of the night. His bedroom was his favorite room in the apartment. It had a big window that looked out over the parking lot and the street beyond. During the day, sunlight streamed in and made everything bright and cheerful. At night, the streetlights outside cast a soft glow that Alex found comforting. He climbed into bed and pulled the covers up to his chin. The rain was still falling outside, a gentle sound that usually helped him fall asleep quickly. Alex closed his eyes and let his mind wander. He thought about the project he was working on, about whether he should buy groceries tomorrow or wait until the weekend, about calling his mom, who he hadn't talked to in a few weeks. Sleep was just starting to take hold when Alex heard something that made his heart skip a beat. The soft sound of his front door opening. At first he thought maybe he was dreaming, or maybe it was just the wind making the building creak. Old buildings made all sorts of noises, especially when it was raining. Alex lay still, listening carefully, telling himself it was nothing. But then he heard footsteps. Quiet, careful footsteps moving through his living room. Alex's eyes snapped open wide. His heart started pounding so hard he was sure whoever was in his apartment could hear it. He lived alone. He always locked his door. Who could possibly be in his apartment at this time of night? The footsteps got closer. They were coming toward his bedroom. Alex wanted to move, wanted to grab his phone and call for help, but his body felt frozen. Fear had a way of doing that to a person. All those self-defense classes he'd thought about taking but never actually signed up for seemed like a really bad decision right now. The footsteps stopped right outside his bedroom door. Alex held his breath, praying that whoever it was would just take whatever they wanted and leave. He didn't have much worth stealing. His laptop was kind of old, his TV was small, and he didn't keep much cash around. Maybe they would realize that and just go away. But then the worst thing possible happened. His bedroom door slowly started to open. The hallway light that Alex had left on created a bright rectangle in his doorway, and standing in that light was the silhouette of a person, a woman, from what he could tell. She was small and thin with long hair that fell past her shoulders. She wasn't moving, wasn't saying anything. She was just standing there like she belonged. Alex blinked hard, wondering if this was all just a very strange dream. Maybe he had fallen asleep after all and his mind was playing tricks on him. But the sound of his own heartbeat and the feeling of cold sweat on his forehead told him this was very, very real. The woman took a step into his room and the light from the hallway lit up her face. Alex's world stopped spinning. Alex couldn't believe what he was seeing. Standing in his bedroom doorway was Lisa. Lisa Chen, the woman he had dated for 2 years in college. The woman he had planned to marry. The woman who had disappeared from his life without any explanation 3.5 years ago. "Lisa?" Alex whispered, his voice barely making any sound. He wondered if he was losing his mind. Maybe the stress from work was finally getting to him. Maybe he was having some kind of breakdown and seeing things that weren't really there. But when Lisa stepped further into the room, Alex knew this was real. She looked different now. Older, yes, but that wasn't what caught his attention. She looked tired in a way that went deeper than just needing sleep. Her clothes were wrinkled like she had been wearing them for days. She carried a small backpack that she held close to her body like it contained everything she owned. "I know this is crazy," Lisa said quietly, looking around his room nervously. "I know I shouldn't be here. I just didn't know where else to go." Alex sat up in bed, pulling his blanket around himself. His heart was still racing, but now it was for different reasons. Seeing Lisa again brought back so many memories. Good ones and painful ones all mixed together. "How did you get in?" Alex asked, though part of him already knew the answer. Lisa looked a little embarrassed. "You still keep your spare key under the flower pot by the stairs. The third one from the left. You always said you'd never change that hiding spot because it was too perfect." Alex remembered saying that. He remembered a lot of things about Lisa. How she laughed at his terrible jokes. How she always stole the covers when they watched movies together on his old couch. How she had this way of making even the most boring day feel special just by being there. "You look good," Lisa said, and Alex could hear something sad in her voice. "Your apartment looks exactly like I thought it would. Everything clean and organized. Some things about you never change." But everything about her had changed, and Alex could see that clearly now. The Lisa he remembered had been confident and full of life. She had big dreams, and even bigger plans for how to make them come true. This Lisa looked like someone who had been running from something for a very long time. "Where have you been?" Alex asked. "It's been 3.5 years, Lisa. 3.5 years without any word. No phone call, no text message, no email, nothing. Do you know what that did to me?" Lisa's face crumpled a little, and Alex immediately felt bad for the angry tone in his voice. Whatever had happened to her, whatever had kept her away, he could see it hadn't been easy. "I wanted to call," Lisa said, sitting down on the edge of his bed. It was the same spot she used to sit in when they would talk late into the night about their future together. "Every single day I wanted to call you, but I couldn't. I couldn't put you in danger." "Danger?" Alex repeated. "What are you talking about? What kind of danger?" Lisa was quiet for a long moment, staring down at her hands. When she finally looked up at Alex, he could see tears in her eyes. "Do you remember my brother Kevin?" she asked. Alex nodded. Kevin was 2 years younger than Lisa and had always been the troublemaker in the family. He was the kind of person who made bad decisions and then expected other people to help him fix the mess. "After we graduated, Kevin got involved with some really bad people," Lisa continued. "He thought he was being smart, thought he could make easy money. But these weren't the kind of people you could just walk away from when things got scary." Alex listened, trying to understand where this was going. He had never liked Kevin very much, but Lisa loved her brother and would do anything for him. "Kevin owned that little auto repair shop, remember? The one our dad helped him buy?" Lisa said. "These people started using it as a place to hide things, illegal things. Kevin got scared and tried to get out, but they wouldn't let him." Lisa's voice was getting quieter, and Alex had to lean forward to hear her clearly. "They told Kevin that if he caused any problems, they would hurt the people he cared about most, his family, me." Lisa wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "The day I left you, Alex, one of them came to see me. He knew everything about you, where you lived, where you worked, what time you usually came home. He made it very clear that if I didn't disappear, something bad would happen to you." Alex felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. All this time, he had thought Lisa had just decided she didn't want to be with him anymore. He had spent months wondering what he had done wrong, what he could have done differently. "The note you left," Alex said, remembering the short, cold message she had written. "You said you needed to figure things out." "He told me exactly what to write," Lisa said, word for word. "He said if I contacted you or anyone else from my old life, they would know, and they would hurt you to hurt me." Alex looked at Lisa sitting on his bed, and suddenly everything made sense. The way she kept glancing toward the window, how she jumped a little every time a car passed by outside, the way she held that backpack like her life depended on it. "So you've been running all this time?" Alex asked. Lisa nodded. "Different cities, different jobs, different names sometimes. I worked at a diner in Portland for 8 months until I thought someone was watching me. Then I moved to Phoenix and cleaned office buildings at night. After that, Denver, where I sold shoes at a mall, always looking over my shoulder, always wondering if today would be the day they found me." Alex's mind was spinning. This sounded like something from a movie, not something that happened to real people. But looking at Lisa's face, seeing the fear in her eyes, he knew every word was true. "But why come back now?" Alex asked. "Why take the risk?" Lisa's face went completely white, and for a moment Alex thought she might be sick. "Because Kevin is dead," she whispered. The words hung in the air between them like a heavy fog. Alex felt his whole body go cold. Kevin was dead. Lisa's little brother, the one she had protected by giving up her entire life, was gone. "Lisa," Alex started to say, but she held up her hand to stop him. "Let me tell you everything," she said, her voice shaking. "I need to tell someone the whole truth, and I don't know how much time we have." Alex wanted to reach out and hold her, to comfort her somehow, but something in her expression told him to just listen. So he sat still and waited while Lisa gathered herself together. "3 weeks ago, I was working at a coffee shop in Sacramento," Lisa began. "I had been there for about 6 months, longer than I usually stayed anywhere. I was starting to think maybe I was safe, maybe they had forgotten about me." She pulled her backpack closer to her chest like it was a shield protecting her from the memories. "Then one morning, I saw a newspaper someone had left behind. There was Kevin's picture on the front page of the local section. The headline said, he had been killed in a car accident, but when I read the story, I knew it wasn't really an accident." Alex felt sick to his stomach. He remembered Kevin as this young, cocky kid who thought he knew everything about the world. Sure, he made bad choices, but he didn't deserve to die for them. "The article said his car went off the road late at night," Lisa continued. "But Kevin was the best driver I knew. He had been racing cars since he was 16. There was no way he would just lose control like that, especially not on a road he had driven hundreds of times." Lisa reached into her backpack and pulled out a folded newspaper clipping. Even from where he was sitting, Alex could see it was worn from being handled so many times. I called the police station, Lisa said. I pretended to be a reporter doing a story about traffic safety. The officer I talked to let slip that Kevin's car had brake problems. But here's the thing, Alex. Kevin just had his brakes completely redone 2 weeks before he died. I know because he sent me a picture of the receipt. He was proud of how much money he had saved by doing some of the work himself. Alex was starting to understand why Lisa looked so scared. If Kevin hadn't died in an accident, then someone had killed him. And if they had killed him, then Lisa was probably next. I packed up everything I owned that same day, Lisa said. I quit my job, left my apartment, and started driving. I didn't know where to go or what to do. For 3 years, I thought as long as I stayed away, Kevin would be safe. But they killed him anyway. She was crying now, quiet tears that she kept wiping away with her sleeve. I drove around for 2 weeks, sleeping in my car, trying to figure out my next move. Then yesterday I stopped at a gas station in Oregon, and there was a man there who looked at me for too long. He followed me to 3 different stores before I finally lost him in traffic. Alex's apartment suddenly felt very small and very unsafe. If these people had found Lisa before, they could probably find her again. And now they both might be in danger. Lisa, maybe you should call the police, Alex suggested. Tell them what really happened to Kevin. Tell them about these people who have been threatening you. Lisa shook her head. You don't understand, Alex. These aren't just some small-time criminals. The man who came to see me 3 years ago, he knew things about the police too. He knew which officers could be trusted and which ones couldn't. He made it clear that going to the authorities wouldn't help me. Alex felt completely lost. In his ordered, predictable life, problems had solutions. If your car broke down, you called a mechanic. If you got sick, you went to the doctor. If someone was threatening you, you called the police, but Lisa was describing a world where none of those normal rules applied. So what's the plan? Alex asked. You can't keep running forever. I don't have a plan, Lisa admitted. That's why I came here. I know it was selfish, and I know I'm putting you in danger just by being here. But Alex, I'm so tired of being scared all the time. I'm tired of looking over my shoulder every single day. I'm tired of not being able to have a normal life or care about anyone because I might have to disappear again. She looked around his bedroom, taking in all the familiar details. The same desk where Alex used to do his homework in college. The same lamp that had been a gift from his parents. The same style of neat organization that had always made Lisa feel calm and safe. I missed this, she said quietly. I missed you. Not just romantically, but as a friend. As someone who knew me when I was happy. Do you know how hard it is to pretend to be someone else for 3 years? To never be able to talk about your real past or your real feelings? Alex did reach out then, taking Lisa's hand in his. It was cold and small, and he could feel how much she was shaking. I used to dream about coming back, Lisa said. I would imagine showing up at your door and explaining everything, and you would understand and forgive me. But I also knew that was just a fantasy. I knew that if I ever saw you again, it would probably mean something terrible was about to happen. As if on cue, both of them heard a car door slam outside in the parking lot. Lisa immediately tensed up, pulling her hand away from Alex's and moving to the window. It's probably just a neighbor, Alex said, but even he didn't sound convinced. Lisa peeked through the blinds carefully, making sure not to move them too much. There's a black car parked across the street, she whispered. It wasn't there when I came in. Alex joined her at the window. Sure enough, there was a dark sedan parked under a broken streetlight where it would be hard to see clearly. Maybe it's nothing, Alex said, though his heart was starting to race again. They watched the car for several minutes, but no one got out and no lights came on inside. Alex, Lisa said, turning to look at him with fear in her eyes. I think they found me. The next morning came too quickly. Alex had barely slept, listening to every sound outside his apartment. The black car had stayed there until almost 4 in the morning before finally driving away. But even after it was gone, both he and Lisa had been too scared to relax. When sunlight started coming through his bedroom window, Alex made a decision that surprised even him. He called his boss and told him he was sick. It was the first time in over 2 years that Alex had missed work for anything other than a real illness. His boss sounded shocked but told him to take care of himself and get better soon. Lisa had spent most of the night sitting in his living room chair, staring out the window. She had dozed off a few times, but every little noise would wake her up with a start. Alex had watched her from his bedroom doorway, feeling helpless and angry. No one should have to live like this, always afraid, always ready to run. We need to figure out what to do, Alex said as he made coffee for both of them. You can't keep living like this forever. Lisa looked terrible. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep, and she had that hollow look of someone who had been under stress for way too long. There is no we in this, Alex, Lisa said quietly. I shouldn't have come here. I was being selfish. Now I've put you in danger too, and that's the last thing I wanted to do. But Alex had been thinking about this all night. He had spent the last 3.5 years wondering what had happened to Lisa, wondering if he could have done something differently. Now he knew the truth, and he wasn't going to let her face this alone. What if we went to the police together? Alex suggested. Maybe if we both told them what happened, they would have to listen. Lisa shook her head. Alex, you don't understand how these people work. They have connections everywhere. Money can buy a lot of silence, and fear can buy even more. Alex sat down across from her at his small kitchen table. Then what do you suggest? Because doing nothing isn't working. They killed Kevin even though you stayed away. What's to stop them from coming after you next? The truth of those words hit Lisa hard. Alex could see it in her face. For 3 years she had believed that staying away would keep her brother safe. But Kevin was dead anyway, which meant her sacrifice had been for nothing. I've been thinking about that all night, Lisa said. Maybe they killed Kevin because they don't need him anymore. Maybe they're cleaning up loose ends. The idea made Alex's blood run cold. If Lisa was right, then she wasn't just running from people who wanted to keep her quiet. She was running from people who had decided she was a problem that needed to be solved permanently. We need help, Alex said. Professional help. Someone who knows how to deal with this kind of thing. Lisa looked at him with a mix of hope and fear. Who? I don't know anyone like that. Do you? Alex thought about it. He lived a pretty quiet life. Most of his friends were other designers or people he had gone to college with. None of them had experience with dangerous criminals or witness protection or anything like that. But then he remembered something. His neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, in apartment 2A. She was a retired police officer who had worked for the city for over 30 years. Alex had helped her carry groceries a few times, and she had mentioned that she used to work in the detective division. I have an idea, Alex said, but you're not going to like it. Lisa raised her eyebrows, waiting for him to continue. My neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, used to be a police detective. She's retired now, but she might know people who could help us. People we can trust. Alex, no, Lisa said immediately. I told you we can't trust the police. We can't trust some police, Alex corrected. But Mrs. Patterson is different. She's not working anymore, so she doesn't have anything to gain by helping these people. And she's lived here for 15 years. I think we can trust her. Lisa was quiet for a long time, staring into her coffee cup. Alex could see her mind working, weighing the risks. What if you're wrong? Lisa asked finally. What if we tell her everything and she decides to turn me in? Or what if she accidentally tells the wrong person? Then we'll figure something else out, Alex said. But Lisa, we can't keep doing this. You can't spend the rest of your life running and hiding. That's not living, that's just surviving. Lisa looked up at him, and Alex could see tears in her eyes again. I'm scared, Alex, she whispered. I'm so scared that if we try to fight back, they'll kill you too. I couldn't live with myself if something happened to you because of me. Alex reached across the table and took her hand. And I can't live with myself knowing you're out there somewhere, alone and afraid, because I was too scared to help. They sat there in silence for a while, both of them thinking about what to do next. Outside, Alex could hear the normal sounds of his neighborhood waking up. People starting their cars, kids riding their bikes to school, dogs barking. All the sounds of regular people living regular lives. If we do this, Lisa said slowly, if we try to get help, there's no going back. Once we start telling people what happened, we can't pretend it's not real anymore. It's already real, Alex pointed out. Hiding from it isn't making it go away. Lisa squeezed his hand. You really want to do this? You want to get involved in something this dangerous? You could just let me leave right now, and you could go back to your normal life. Alex thought about his normal life. His predictable routines, his safe job, his quiet apartment. 3 days ago, that life had seemed perfect. Now it seemed empty. My normal life has been missing something important for 3.5 years, Alex said. It's been missing you, and if helping you means giving up some of that safety and predictability, then that's a trade I'm willing to make. Lisa started crying then, but they were different tears than before. These weren't tears of fear or sadness. They were tears of relief, of gratitude, of hope that maybe, just maybe, she didn't have to face this alone anymore. Okay, Lisa said, wiping her eyes. Let's go talk to Mrs. Patterson. 8 months later, Alex stood in the kitchen of their new apartment, watching Lisa laugh at something on her phone. The sound still surprised him sometimes. After everything they had been through, hearing her laugh freely felt like a small miracle. Every single time. Their new place was in Vancouver, Canada, about a 3-hour drive from Seattle. It wasn't huge, just a 2-bedroom apartment on the 4th floor of a building near downtown. But it had big windows that let in lots of sunlight, and Lisa had filled it with plants that made everything feel alive and hopeful. The plan had worked, though not at all the way either of them had expected it to. Mrs. Patterson had turned out to be exactly the right person to talk to. She had listened to Lisa's whole story without interrupting, asking careful questions and taking notes like she was still on the job. You're in real danger, Mrs. Patterson had told them when Lisa finished talking. But you're also sitting on information that could help a lot of people. Mrs. Patterson had connected them with Agent Rodriguez from the FBI. Agent Rodriguez specialized in organized crime, and she had been trying to build a case against the group that had threatened Lisa for almost 2 years. Lisa's story, combined with the details she remembered about Kevin's business and the people who had used it, gave Agent Rodriguez exactly what she needed to move forward. The next few months had been scary and stressful. Lisa had to tell her story over and over again to different agents and prosecutors. She had to look at hundreds of photos, trying to identify the people who had threatened her. Alex had to give up his apartment and his job in Seattle because the FBI said it wasn't safe for either of them to stay there. But slowly, things had started to come together. The FBI had raided 3 different businesses that were being used as fronts. They had arrested 12 people, including the man who had threatened Lisa all those years ago. Kevin's death was being investigated as a murder, and Lisa finally felt like her brother might get the justice he deserved. The price had been high, though. Lisa could never go back to her hometown. She had to get a completely new identity, with a new social security number and everything. Alex had been given the choice to do the same or just relocate, and he had chosen to get a new identity too. They were both officially different people now, with different names and different histories. Alex missed his old job sometimes. He had been good at design work, and he had enjoyed the challenge of creating something new every day. But he had found work at a small architecture firm in Vancouver, and his new boss was teaching him things he had never learned before. It was different, but it was good different. Lisa had gotten a job at a community center that helped people who were starting over. Some of them were immigrants who needed help learning English. Others were people who had left bad relationships and needed support while they built new lives. Lisa was perfect for the job because she understood what it was like to have to start completely over. Any regrets? Lisa asked him, looking up from her phone. She was reading a text from her coworker about a success story from someone they had helped find housing. Alex thought about the question. Did he regret giving up his predictable life in Seattle? Did he regret getting involved in something so dangerous? Did he regret having to learn a new language and navigate a new country's bureaucracy and start over professionally? Just one, Alex said, walking over to where Lisa was sitting on their couch. I regret that it took you walking into my room at midnight for us to find our way back to each other. Lisa smiled and pulled him down next to her. Well, I always was terrible with timing. But as Alex looked around their apartment, he realized Lisa's timing had actually been perfect. If she hadn't shown up that night, she might be dead now. The NAR. FBI had told them that the people who killed Kevin had been planning to find Lisa within the next few weeks. She had arrived at Alex's apartment just in time, and Alex's life, which had seemed so complete and organized before, had actually been missing the most important thing of all. It had been missing the person who made him want to be brave instead of just safe. They had started planning their future together again, but it was different this time. Before, when they were in college, they had made plans based on what they thought they were supposed to want. Good jobs, a nice house, a conventional life that looked successful from the outside. Now they made plans based on what actually made them happy. They talked about traveling to places they had never been. Lisa wanted to learn how to paint, and Alex had always wanted to try learning guitar. They both wanted to help other people who were in situations like Lisa had been in. "Do you think we'll always have to be careful?" Lisa asked. "Do you think we'll ever be able to stop looking over our shoulders?" Alex considered the question honestly. Agent Rodriguez had told them that most of the people who had threatened Lisa were going to prison for a long time. But she had also said there was no such thing as being completely safe, especially when you had been involved in a case like theirs. "Maybe we'll always have to be a little bit careful," Alex said. "But I think there's a difference between being careful and being afraid. We can be smart about our safety without letting fear control our lives." Lisa nodded, leaning against his shoulder. "I like that. Being careful but not afraid." Outside their window, Vancouver was settling into evening. The lights were coming on in the other buildings, and Alex could see people in their own apartments making dinner, watching TV, living their normal weekday lives. For a long time, Alex had thought that normal was the same thing as safe, and that safe was the same thing as happy. But now he understood that real happiness sometimes required taking risks. It required caring about someone else more than you cared about keeping your own life simple and predictable. "I love you," Lisa said quietly. "I love you too," Alex replied. They were simple words, but they meant something different now than they had in college. Back then, love had felt like a promise about the future. Now it felt like a choice they made every day, even when that choice was difficult or scary. As they sat together on their couch, planning what to make for dinner and what movie to watch, Alex realized that their story wasn't really about the danger they had faced or the way they had overcome it. It was about second chances and about the way love could survive even when everything else in your life fell apart. Sometimes the best things in life arrived when you least expected them, at midnight, when all your careful plans were useless, and your heart was finally ready to remember what it meant to truly live. And sometimes, Alex thought as he watched Lisa scroll through Netflix options, the most extraordinary thing you could do was choose to build an ordinary life with someone who made everything feel like an adventure